Welcome to the Cherrywood podcast with me, Rachel Burridge.
And me, Simon Burridge. Right, okay, we're ready to go. So you go up to that camera as near as you want, and I need to do you just clap that board for me like this. Yeah. I'll do it harder than that. That's it. That would be better.
I don't know what to do with this.
Let's line all the audio up. Okay. Right, you're the first. You're the first one, Mike. This is Michael Harper.
What a privilege.
First one. Do you feel really excited about it? You haven't got a clue what's going on either, have you?
Not a clue.
Okay, so Rachel's not here. Rachel's usually here. Well, I say she's usually here. We only done one podcast, just me and her. So I've got rid of her. She's at work. But so Mike is our first guest, and it's Mike Harper Wealth Management. Is that
That's
right?
me. That's me. Yeah.
And how long have we known each other for now? 3 years?
Too long.
Thanks for that, mate. Thanks for that.
Yeah, no, 3 years.
We've been on golfing trips, haven't we?
Here we are.
Things like that.
Yeah.
All right, then. Tell us about what you do.
What do? I look after people's money and help them achieve their financial goals, whatever that may be, in a sense of if they want to retire at 60 and let's say they're 40, put a plan in place to try and make that happen.
Okay. I'm going to stop you there. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's something really important to say to you.
Yeah.
That sign falls off the wall.
Okay.
And I need you to give me a rough idea when you think it's going to fall off the wall.
Okay.
Right?
As in minutes-wise?
Minutes-wise into this podcast. So how long we've been recording for.
Yeah.
All right?
About 5 minutes time?
You reckon 5 minutes?
Well, I don't know.
It's up to you. Right. So it lasted the whole podcast between me and Rach. And then as soon as I stopped recording, it fell off the wall.
Okay.
So now we're going to make a league up. And if you're the closest when it falls off the wall,
What do I do?
I don't know yet. I think I'm going to give £100 to charity. That does nothing for you, though, does it?
No.
So we'll have a think about what we're going to do.
£100 to my charity.
Yeah, your charity of your choice.
There you go.
That'd be good.
Is that wallpaper, by the way?
It is wallpaper, yeah.
I like that.
It's not bad, is it? I've got a friend who's got another studio like mine, and he's got exactly the same wallpaper.
I might. Where'd you get it from?
It was there. That is beautiful. That is beautiful.
I know I have a one. If anyone that's going to watch this is going to type 1 minute.
Oh my God, that even had no double-sided on it. That's really good. So I'll stick that behind.
What I was going to say.
I reckon you've won. Well, you've got to have won, surely.
Well, if I'm the only one that does it, then definitely. Look at that.
Perfect.
Yeah, I know. I want you to let me know where that's from because we are redecorating our office.
I think it's from the orange place. You know what I mean? Do you know what? I might have some spare for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I only said the orange place because I can't remember it. There's nothing to do with like product placement or other. What is it they say? All other. We've bought in all other DIY stores. So well done. I think you may have £100 to charity, but I'll do it by the end of next year. All depends on if the podcast don't last.
So I'm forget.
Then I've managed to dodge £100. Right. So sorry. So where were we? That was a really important bit that me and Rach wanted to talk about, but I was hoping it would last about half hour.
No, that was good. That was timed quite well.
And we redid it as well because it had to
Together by tape, just so you know.
I think they'll work it out. Just listening to me and Rach on the first one, they'll work out how well this is, how well it's done. Right, sorry, mate. Start again.
Where was I? No, I was just saying, obviously what I do is help people achieve their financial goals, whatever that may be. If it's being realistic with it, if someone wants to retire at 60 and let's say they're 35, 40 and they're saving 50 quid a month, then it's probably not realistic. But if you can understand what you've got, understand where you can get to and make a plan to get towards that, that's what I can help with and achieving that.
Okay. Right, okay. So I've been using you for 3 years, haven't I? Mm-hmm. And with high expectations. And then as soon as that happened, we just come out of lockdown, hadn't we? I was going to blame lockdown for it.
Yeah, but then we had obviously...
And then we had a war, didn't we?
Which, but it's this is the sort of thing that if you look over a 20, 30, 40-year time period, which in theory that's what your investment time period is, something that's happened over a 1 year period doesn't really make any difference.
Yeah.
But also, things were cheaper, you've been quite smart, bought regularly, which then means it will go up quicker because it's bought cheaper. So it's a long-term investment. It's not something, I'm not someone that will be able to make you a lot of money overnight. It is a long-term investment strategy.
So do you have an ideal customer, would you say?
Yeah, I think if I'm looking for someone between 40 and 50 that's looking to retire within the next 10 to 15 years, that's probably someone that I would say is ideal.
Right.
Because they're getting to the later end of their working career, and it can be a very interesting conversation if someone's got not a lot in pensions, for argument's sake, and they want to retire, and it's like, well, actually, that's probably not realistic.
It's always shocked me when I speak to mates and they're in like 40 and they're like, I haven't got a pension.
Yeah. And it's
I've had one from 19, but I've been lucky. I've been working at the same place.
Yeah. But also you've got to put the money away. Like nowadays, you can opt out of pensions, which seems great when you're younger because you can get extra money. But when you fast forward 15 years and you're in your 30s and you think, well, I'll start now, then you've got to put in triple what you would have put in 15 years ago. So it's just that bit of education around what you can do with what you've got, and ultimately it depends on someone's situation, because some people can put in more than others. It all depends. Right.
Okay. So people investing with you, why do you think they invest with you? Do you look after them? Do you contact? I know you look after me and contact me, but that's because I'm handsome, and you just want to look at me, which is natural.
Yeah, I think I look after just over 200 clients, and it's not something that we market. Obviously, I'm not doing this today, but I'm not seeing it as marketing. It's I don't do any of that. It's all word of mouth, and I'm asking people to give me their money to then grow it. So that requires a lot of trust, and not from your side because you just did it. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm a bit like that, aren't I? How much do you want from me?
Yeah,
I'll do that.
But yeah, it's something that you need to have trust, and I generally just grow my business by people referring me that have used me over a period of time. I don't go out there really actively looking for new business, apart from a networking group, but apart from that, I don't do anything else.
Okay. Any fees involved?
But not to see me, for me to give you any advice. It's only if you say, yes, I want to go ahead with something. But the fees vary depending on the product.
Okay.
So it's something. We have an annual management charge. So when you look after your investments, obviously there's a charge for that. If you've got a pension, every single pension has an annual management charge.
But it's not something they actually bill you. It just comes out of the investment.
Just comes out of the investment.
So is it a percentage of the investment?
Yeah. But then again, that depends on the level of risk you want to take, to the investments that you're in, etc., etc. So it's hard when someone says what your charge is. It's hard because I don't really know until we get down the line.
So you know what they want to invest.
Yeah. Some have an upfront charge, some don't. So it's all dependent on what we do. But for me to see someone and continue seeing someone, there's no charge for that.
You see these adverts about people transferring their pension over to some crook, and then he's on holiday laughing. Or you hear them on the radio as well, don't you? But I've tried to transfer my pension with you, about 3 times now?
It's been a while, isn't it, trying to do that.
But your company refuse it, which is a good thing, because they're not. Then I know straight away I'm not trying. Yeah, we've been ripped off. You know,
it's putting the client first, and we're only going to do it if it's right for you. We have our own internal compliance that we have to get through, and if it's a case of they don't think it's the right thing, no matter what I think, then we're not going to do it. So it's making sure that everything is in line to get you in the best position that you possibly can be.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's protecting the clients, it's protecting me from the FCA. So yeah, it's all about protecting everyone.
Right. Okay then. So who's the real Mike Harper? What got you? Because I've been drunk with you a few times, Mike. I'm not going to lie, and you're pretty mental. We filmed your wedding. Rachel shot your wedding.
Yeah.
I filmed it. Rachel shot it. I shot it as well. Rachel took the photos. I filmed it. You were in a lot of fancy dress stuff afterwards, which I thought was hilarious. We had a good laugh. Hopefully you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Had no feedback about pictures. Probably have had feedback.
I enjoyed it until my father-in-law had a heart attack the next day.
That's right. That was a tough one, wasn't it? That was and yeah, that's it. Laugh straight after mentioning it.
Well, I can laugh now because he's
Is he all right now?
Yeah, he's fine. I mean, it was so we were there on the Monday. Obviously, the Tuesday we got married. Photos are great, by the way.
Thank you. Nothing to do with me, it's Rachel.
I love the video as well. And Vic keeps getting on at me because obviously I'm pretty sure we've ordered those albums and stuff, but we need to give you photos to put in there, and we haven't done that. And
mate, the record's 4 years.
Yeah.
4 years I've had someone. I was like, I don't even remember filming your wedding.
So if I've won that, then I can go for 5 years and win 2 things.
Well, that's it, yeah. Yes, that's it, yeah. There's no prize for being that long. It means the albums have gone up and they're costing us more money to make. But, yeah.
So yeah, we got married on the Tuesday, and then a really good day. Couldn't really have gone any better.
Ferry House Inn, wasn't it?
Ferry House Inn
in Sheppey, which is, people get put off by Sheppey, but the Ferry House Inn is quite nice.
You can be anywhere.
There's something about Sheppey though. People slag it off.
Yeah.
But when I drive through Sheppey, I feel like,
oh, nice.
I know.
Yeah.
But it's like one of those ones that when people say that,
The Ferry House though, you're driving down a 4-mile road, which is bumpy as hell.
Oh, yeah.
But when you get to the end, you're on the river.
Yeah.
If it's a nice day, you could be anywhere.
Yeah, it is nice. It's nice.
I mean, yeah, they were really accommodating. It was great. And then, 4 o'clock the next morning, got a knock on the door saying, father-in-law's having a heart attack. And we were like, okay, this is not what I was expecting.
What time was you done now?
So we went to bed midnight, 12:30.
Oh, right.
Something like that.
Well, I'm shocked by that. I thought you were going to say 1, 2, but do they stop it all?
They stopped serving.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I think what set him off was he had a Skittle bomb before bed, one of his last drinks, which is Red Bull and some other drink. And he's never had Red Bull in his life.
Right, so that's...
And the issue he had with his heart is it couldn't pump the blood around quick enough. So with the Red Bull making his heart go mental, it couldn't get the blood
doing
around.
Big enough stroke, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. So he then was suffering for the next few hours. He said he felt it during the conga, during the singing waiters.
Oh, right, really?
Yeah, but actually when you look back on the video, you can see he's not 100%. He just didn't tell anyone. And we laugh about it now because we're like, thank you for waiting until the next day, because it would have been horrific if it had been on the actual wedding day.
Of course.
But yeah, so...
The thing is, I've not met him before. I don't think... I was never invited to the stag do. We can talk about that later off camera. I've been to golf trips with you, but he doesn't golf, does he? I've not met him, have I, before? I've not met your father-in-law before.
No.
I've come on to Vic a few times, but but I've not met your father-in-law. So I can't tell you if he looked gradually better.
He's doesn't like... for argument's sake, I did his speech for him because he doesn't like doing that public speaking thing. So he was nervous about the day anyway. Obviously, it's his daughter, so he was obviously had higher anxiety anyway. Yeah. But then as the day went on, and with what we were doing,
it just took a toll on him.
Yeah. But this is someone that was doing 4 to 5 miles of walking every day.
Oh,
so
right.
It's something that it's quite surprising didn't happen sooner. One of those things where it just happened the day after the wedding. But
timing.
Yeah, he went to Medway, straight up to King's. He was up for King's for the next 6 weeks, had 2 major operations. Now he's all right.
So did the ambulance come to the ferry house or?
They came to the ferry house. So Vic's mum obviously knew what was going on. She knocked on our door. I don't think she'd called the ambulance at that point. She may have done, I can't really remember. And then, because of where the ferry house is, it took like 45 minutes for the ambulance to get there.
Yeah, I imagine there's an ambulance on. Is there an hospital on?
There's a little one, and there's a ambulance station there, but for whatever reason, it took 45 minutes.
All right, okay.
They did all their checks and said that it's not right, got to go to the hospital.
Probably removed all the drunks out of the ambulance.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a Tuesday night. It's Tuesday night, but it's still in Sheffield, isn't it?
Yeah.
So removed all the drunks.
And then, so he went over to Medway, and actually later that day, we had to take Alfie to Medway because his leg had swollen up because he'd been bitten. And all we needed was antibiotics, but it was after 5 o'clock. We couldn't get anywhere, so it was like, all right, we're taking him to Medway. He was up there for 6 hours. That was joy.
Now, I remember shooting the ferry house and there being a wasp nest there. That I don't think it was that day. I think it might have been a different wedding.
No, but I think because we went there on the Monday night, and obviously it's by the river, and there was sun was up,
everything comes out, doesn't it?
loads of mosquitoes and stuff. So I think, well, he just got bitten because he was scratching it, got infected. But yeah, and then 6 weeks up at, well, I think it was 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks up at King's. 2 big operations, and then he got released on the Friday, and on the Sunday he came to watch Alfie play football.
Oh, that's all right then.
Yeah, because they basically told him that you can do stuff, just don't overexert yourself. Like, you can't go for big walks and stuff. But because he was just sat in a car and then on the side of the pitch, he was
Be all right, yeah.
Yeah, it's 6-year-old football, so it's not like it's
Right.
getting too intense.
So, what are they doing with him now? It's turning
Medication.
into a podcast about your father-in-law's health.
Just medication. He's back driving now, and he's got other things he's got to get sorted. But yeah, it's just checkups and stuff. So
No, good. Right then, where was you born?
I was born in Red Hill in Surrey.
Was ya?
I was.
I used to knock around that sort of area.
Did you? I don't know it.
Open life.
I lived there for.
That's where the plum in the throat comes from then. Right. Right.
I lived there for 2 years, so I don't remember it, and then moved down here.
Did ya? Blimey.
But not here. I moved to a little village called Platseath in between Maidstone and Ashford, which is much nicer than here.
Fair enough. Okay, so who was you there with? Your mum? Because your mum and dad separated, aren't they?
Yeah, they are now. Mum and dad, I don't know what age I was. Must have been around 10, something like that. And then stayed there in between, obviously, houses. My dad was up here in Strood, lovely place. And then, just ended up drifting towards Medway.
You give it the old Strood lovely place, right? But I've been around. I've been to places like...
There's worse places.
I've been to Westerham. I lived in Northfleet. Northfleet's all right. Everywhere has its dumps.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm really happy in Strood. I know I'm Strood/Higham.
Yeah.
So I'm up the top area.
You're in a nice area.
Yeah. But everywhere has its dumps.
So my family come from Yorkshire, South Yorkshire, Rotherham. And so when we used to go back up there, now that is a dump. I apologise if you're Rotherham, but that is a dump. But it's like my theory on when you go north, the further north you get, the further back in time it goes.
Yeah.
It's just very old school up there.
And that's your dad, is it?
Both of them. Yeah.
Your mum and your dad?
Yeah.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Never knew that. I know, I'm not really spoken to your mum, but I know your dad's got a bit of an accent on him.
My mum, I don't think my dad's got an accent, but other people.
Oh, he definitely has. Yeah. Definitely. Okay. So then you moved to Strood with your dad, or...
We're split between the houses.
Okay.
Yeah. And then...
What got you into this really interesting job of yours, of dealing with people's money and not your own?
Sure. I was unemployed when I was 18, and my brother was working for RBS at the time.
Right.
And there was a job came up, I went for that. I didn't really want it, but it was just a job at the time. I was then at NatWest for 10 years, doing various different...
So your first job was there?
But proper
RBS.
job. Yeah, first proper job. I was there for 10 years, and about 5 or 6 years in, my dad does financial advice, and he was saying, why don't you come and do this? And he got to do loads of exams. So while I was at NatWest, I was doing all the exams in the background, and then came over 4 years ago. And yeah, it's probably the best thing I've done from a flexibility point of view, because I'm now self-employed, whereas I was employed before, working Monday to Saturday, whereas now I can work whatever hours I want to work. Obviously it's got to be around the clients, but then at the same time it's around me, because I do most school runs in the morning and afternoon.
Well, it's a Wednesday at 10 and you're sitting on your arse having coffee, so...
There you go.
Perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, I looked at you and I thought, that's what I want to do.
So when you were a kid, what did you want to do? I think it was football. It was sport, wasn't it?
It was sport, but I actually wanted to be a policeman and then a fireman. So if you look at my medical records, I know I've got asthma, but it's not on my medical records, so I have trouble getting a blue pump if I need one.
I have exactly the same problem.
Because I wanted to be a fireman, we didn't put it on the medical records.
Ah, right.
So I went to college when I was 16, I wasn't clever enough to get into sixth form, and did public services, which in hindsight was the biggest waste of 2 years of my life, because all I did was play football for 2 years.
Right.
But it was fun time, but I'd rather have gone to work at 16.
I've heard from other sources you were quite a mean goalkeeper.
I did all right.
I've heard you were a really good goalkeeper.
Yeah, to be fair,
Probably the nose. Like you turn your nose sideways. That's the whole side of the goal covered.
I never really pursued it. I got offered Gillingham trials when I was about 11, never went. I was playing football 6 days a week. I played a little bit of Kent League, but I never really pursued it.
Did you play with Chris Solly for a bit? No. So, right, someone, I don't know, it must have been Daniel, mentioned something about Chris Solly.
No, I had a goalkeeper coach for a bit trying to make it, but it was weighing up football or work, and there was no guarantee with football. And it was taking up a lot of time, and I was in my early 20s at the time, and just, stopped that. Then had kids, and then just stopped playing football altogether. So now I just play golf. But yeah, I miss football. I coach Alfie's football team, and every weekend I just want to play football, but time doesn't allow that.
So you don't play yourself anymore?
Don't play anything. The only time I play is on a Saturday and Sunday with the team, a little bit during training, but that is it.
You know, I can get you to in a match with some celebrities. Charity football match. If you sponsor the charity football match,
I'd be interested.
You'll be able to get on the pitch.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
Dan's done it from Urban Rollers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'd be interested.
Ricky Groves on the mic.
Nice.
And what was the one in EastEnders? The little geezer in EastEnders. Can't remember his name now. I ain't going to remember his name, but there was a couple of EastEnders people, loads of YouTubers who ain't got a clue who they are.
Yeah.
Some Love Island people.
Oh, nice.
And then you get time on the pitch.
What pitch are we talking about?
This one was Brentwood FC.
Oh, nice.
But you know what? He's only got it's got West Ham.
Yeah,
that's what I've been told.
Nice. Yeah, I'll be interested.
But
I miss football. I watch football every time Arsenal are on. I watch it, but
bless you.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I miss it. But then now Alfie's old enough to play golf, so we play a lot of golf. So
right now, if I took my son to play golf, if I took any of I've got 4 sons. But if I took any of them to play golf, well, I can't really vouch for 2 of them. But how do you get a kid into something so focused into something? My kids are like, if I can't do it after the first 10 swings, that's it. I better not.
I think with lockdown, we were quite lucky in a sense of we had all of that time and not really a lot going on. And you were allowed out for an hour a day. So we just went over to the local park, and my son was 3 at the time. He's swinging clubs before that, but it was just nicer to play for an hour. And we actually tagged him into a video with Nick Faldo, and he replied to it during lockdown, which was pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah, it's on Twitter or X now. But yeah, there's a video of my son hitting a golf ball that Nick Faldo replied to.
Oh, wicked!
Quite cool.
That's good.
But yeah, like my son, he's very sporty. I was making him kick a football before he could walk, just because I want him to get into sport. My daughter's the same. She does ballet on a weekend, but I'm trying to find her a football team that will do it around that, which is quite difficult to do. She loves playing football.
See, my 7-year-old's just started football, and he's well behind, like 2 years behind. But it's funny watching him because he hasn't got a clue what's going on.
Yeah,
they were like, he's tackling anyone.
Yeah,
I think it's hilarious. But I remember when my first son used to go to football, and he was all right. He was into it. But then you get these other kids that aren't. And I remember the old manager pulling his hair out. They're having a 5-a-side match. And there's these 2 kids defending, and one's going like that, and the other one's going like that. And the other team's going past them and scoring goals, and they're still just doing this.
Yeah.
And the manager's run on the pitch, said, "What are you doing?" He went, "Well, he's packing the flowers, and I'm stacking them into the lorry." Oh, and then you get the old swarm of bees, where they're all just gathering around it. Anyway, that kid who was doing that, I then went back a couple of years later, and he was like the best striker ever.
Some people
just click, didn't they?
Yeah,
just click.
Yeah, it's crazy. We're lucky. The team that I look after, the boys have been playing together since they were 2 and a bit. So they all know each other very well. They don't. Some of them go to the same school, but there's I think like four in one class. The rest of them are different schools. But because they've been with each other since 2.5, they all get on very well. We're quite lucky in the sense of there's no annoying parents, which makes a big difference.
That's the worst thing.
The kids have all got a pretty good attitude. They all want to do better. Until we lost for the first time last week, and that was interesting. A lot of tears. But then it's 6-year-old football, isn't it? So
yeah, okay, real. Right, what else you want to talk about? Anything you want to tell people? Deals you got on? I know my son contacted you about an ISO. Is that something you do?
it is something I do.
Has he contacted you?
I contacted him and left a message.
Oh, he's a nightmare, isn't he?
So
He's a nightmare.
I'll let you chase him up for me. If we basically, if you want to find out more, the easiest thing for me to do is to talk to someone. There's so much to what we do. It's whether you want savings, whether you want long-term investments, whether you want to reduce your tax bills. There's so much to it that we can look at. That
You basically do an assessment of it.
yeah, if I was to meet someone for the first time, which I'm doing tonight, I go into it quite blind because I quite like that. I don't want to know a lot of information beforehand, which can be a bit of a waste of time in some aspects because some people I can't help. But for the majority of people, there's an area that I can help them with, and it's helping them understand what they've got, what they can do to improve their situation. And until you sit down with someone, not many people have a financial plan. They don't really know what they want out of their finances now or in the future. And until you sit down with someone and actually sit down and say, look, where do you want to get to in 5, 10, 20 years' time? And then they start thinking about it. So, well, let's make that a reality and do that. I have a client that I saw a couple of days ago. He was thinking he was going to retire at 67, and my plan is to get him done by 60, which is achievable if we do X, Y, and Z. And he's all on board for it because he doesn't have to work for 7 years longer than he thought he would have. So
yeah,
the father-in-law is a big example. He was working. We had a chat with him and gave up work.
perfect.
Didn't need to work. So there's
Some people are losing money if they're working sometimes, aren't they?
Yeah, it all depends on their situation. Some people work because they like working. Some people get scared of retirement because they don't really know what they're going to do.
I've lost a lot of friends from retirement. You know, they just stop completely, and then the body stops.
Yeah,
You've got to keep going.
you've got to have something that you're doing. But
Retirement shouldn't just mean stopping watching telly. You know?
no, and that's what I try and get people to think about. What do you actually want retirement to look like? Is it going on X amount of holidays a year? Is it doing volunteering? Is it doing part-time work? Is it doing UK breaks? Whatever it may be. But until you sit down and work out what you want your perfect year to look like, you have no idea what that is going to cost you on an annual basis. And you may have the ability to do that now. You may not. You may have to work for X amount of years more. But it's understanding that and getting to a point where you know it's achievable.
I know when I first met you and you came round the house, I was pleasantly surprised by what you said, but then that war kicked in and probably pushed it back a few years. But
Yeah, and it's looking at your situation and understanding what you've got available to you now and what you've got available to you at retirement age, and then you've got state pensions. All of that is a pretty positive outlook. And most people will have the same sort of situation. It's just they don't realise it. And if you do X, Y, and Z, you can make it so much better. And if I ask someone what you want from retirement and do you want 10 grand a year, they'll probably say no, because you're not going to be able to do a lot with that. If you want 25 grand a year, you need roughly $500,000 in a pension pot. So there's all of this stuff that you may or may not know, and until you sit down and go through it, it's difficult to understand.
perfect. Well, like I said, Mike, I don't like praising you often, but I know if I've got questions financially, you're just at the end of the phone for me. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and that's something that we kind of pride ourselves on. I see my clients pretty much every 6 to 9 months, and things will change in their situation, things will change in outside situation, and it's just keeping on top of their situation as best as we possibly can. And if you need me, you can give me a call, or we've got an admin team that's got 9 people in it, so you can give them a call.
And I can also sense you putting your head in your hands when I ask you a really stupid financial question. So,
So I have a little chuckle.
it's like,
Here we go again.
Yeah, I told him this 5 times already. No, you can't do that. Right. So, how are people going to find you? Where do they go?
Well, I don't. I have a website, but like I said, I don't do any marketing, so there's not a lot on there.
Well, then you're really selling yourself here.
Well, I know, but if you for your
email address,
mike.harper@sjpp.co.uk. That's probably the easiest way to contact me.
Okay, say it slower just in case. I'll make it appear somewhere.
Yeah. Mike.harper@sjpp.co.uk.
Yeah. Okay, good. Because when I read mine out, I read it in 2 different ways. So it was really bad. Okay, thanks, mate.
Oh, thanks.
So,
hopefully I've won that competition.
I think you have won it, and like I say, I've changed it now. So we've now got cherrywoodpro.com/podcast, and yeah, you should be able to see the podcast on there via YouTube, and then we'll post them on the usual podcast, or you'll be able to hear them on the usual stuff like Spotify and whatever. I don't really actually know. I just use a program that does it for me.
I look forward to listening to myself again. That'd be great.
Oh, you love that, didn't you? You probably played a wedding video all the time. Probably listen to your speech every.
I have listened to my speech a few times, but one section of it, and that's just when I crack the joke. Do you remember the joke?
Well, there was loads.
Well, if that's shooting on Vic's face.
Yeah, I do remember.
I've listened to that. It just makes me laugh. It makes me laugh. But yeah,
I must admit, I put mine on every now and then. I think my speech is on YouTube, and I said something like, I remember when I first met my wife. I remember thinking to myself, "You've got no chance." And then, but eventually, she won me around, and I agreed to go out with her. Something like that. I said,
yeah. We had obviously Spencer doing his bit.
The magic. Yeah, I might get Spencer in. I've got another magician coming in at some point. Yeah,
but he we asked him to do a forfeit, and he said, "Oh, I can't do that. There's kids involved." And I said, "You don't know what I'm saying in my speech. You'll be fine."
Yeah.
You'll be fine. And no, that was good.
That was funny, and it worked perfectly. When your mate opened his hand up, and that ball that turned into a knob came out.
Yeah, it couldn't have gone back. No,
well, perfect.
It couldn't have gone back because he was saying, "There's not one of them in my hand" and stuff, and it was just brilliant. It was really good.
Brilliant. Thanks very much.
Thank you, mate.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was good.
Okay. It's funny when Rachel's here because then I would slag her off at the same time and say I rub here some things. But unfortunately, she can't be here all the time. And there might be a time when I can't be here. It's just not worth doing then, though, is it?
Probably not, mate. No. Probably not.
Brilliant. That'll do. Turn it off. Cut.
Done.
There we go.